You are welcome to Daybreak here on Trust Television. It's good to have you. Stick around. And now it's time for our discussion segment where we're going to be tackling the critical issue affecting millions of Nigerian workers, the implementation of the new minimum wage. Now, it's clear that states are beginning to falter as workers are lamenting poor pay. 2 months after President Bola Tinubu signed the new minimum wage into law, only 2 states, Edo and Adamawa, have started paying the 70,000 naira minimum wage. 8 states, Lagos, Rivers, Ondo, Ogun, Kogi, Gombe, and Bauchi, have announced different amounts, while 26 states are yet to take action. Now, we had Lagos State come to, they're going to pay 85,000 naira, and I think on Rivers went towards 70 something. I would confirm that before we wrap up the show. But then again, so many states have offered a bit higher, and some have offered nothing below the 70,000 naira being given. So definitely we're going to be looking at state by state implementation, which states are leading the way and which ones are lagging behind, consequences of the delay, and Labour's ultimatum. And then we'll probably look at, what should be done at this point in time to save both Nigerian workers and the state government. How can we find a balance? That's also going to be the bane of our conversation here this morning. So joining me in the studio today to dive deeper into the issues is the former secretary to the state government of Adamawa State, Engineer Umar Buba Bindir. He's a technocrat and a policy affairs analyst. So together, we'll be delving into the complexities surrounding the minimum wage implementation and explore solutions to ensure fairer compensations for Nigerian workers. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you in the studio this morning.
Thank you.
I hope you didn't face any hurdles coming here.
No. It's free road, very nice weather, and people are beginning to be more disciplined.
Well,
they're driving well.
Okay, all right, we'll get into that. But what's your thought on, the latest minimum wage and the reaction from state governors? Do you think that minimum wage is realistic when it comes to payment for Nigerian workers?
Well, you see, as far as I am concerned, this is a very good question. It's a good strategy for government to set some kind of standard in pay. But what needs to be really discussed about is, if you have money, you can pay. So there must be strategy for creating wealth. But if you don't have a strategy to create wealth, to accumulate wealth, then to transparently utilize the wealth, you cannot be able to pay this minimum wage. So there are 3 sources for state governments to have the pool of funds to actually do whatever they like, including payment. The first is the federal government allocation. Monthly, you see the allocating committee saying you take this depending on a number of factors. So that is one element. The second element is its own revenue that it generates in the state. For you to generate the revenue, it's like a cow. You have to invest in the right cow. It has to be pregnant. You have to look after it. It has to deliver, and then you start milking, right? So that milking is the IGR. Unfortunately, many states don't invest in the process up to the milking phase. They just want to milk, and therefore the IGR is very small. The third source is what we call as capital receipts. This is loans and gifts and whatever that you can get. So if you are healthy as an economy, you can go to people who can give you loans on a particular condition. So these 3 are all lumped up, put in the purse, and then you use it to do your capital, recurrent. In the recurrent, you have the salary. So when a state government is getting very small, right, and whatever it gets compared to the loans and the agreements on the loans that it has accumulated over the years will not allow them to actually have the flexibility to pay. 2, if they are very weak, an economy that is not productive, an economy that is not producing and selling, an economy that is not creating wealth, the IGR will be very, very tight. And certainly when you have these circles, you are not a very credible state to actually go and carry loans from somewhere. So these are the parameters on how to look at state governments and their ability to actually pay this minimum wage.
So at this point, is it the lack of political will that is putting us in this? Because we have states like Lagos states, River states, who, yes, they get allocation from federal government. And Nigerians are expecting that due to the removal of fuel subsidy, saying that they need this money to invest back into the nation, allocations probably should have increased for state government. We have Lagos, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, having Rivers and Akwa Ibom as oil states and are generating revenue from that. Lagos, we all know, is a commercial hub. It was expected that Lagos would even pay that amount or slightly more. What is holding other state governors back at this point? Because you can't tell me that there's no how each state don't have the ability to generate revenue from what it is they have in their state.
Well, actually, you cannot give what you don't have. You see, it's not really about political will.
Okay.
The issue is, before you become the governor, you have to have the ability to govern, right? And that ability is, how do you cope with you must identify the problem. It's just like the president. The president said, I have a renewed hope agenda, meaning that I want to raise the hope of Nigerians and renew it. But the first thing is, you have to identify the hopeless. How many do you have? And then your renewed hope will pump it up. So every state governor, I think, has a micro renewed hope. So the first thing is, you must mentally and their surroundings be able to say, these are the problems of this state, and therefore I, the Baba of solving problems, I want to contest as a governor. So there's nothing like, I just have money, I can share money, I can buy delegates, and whoop, and you are a governor. And then you start complaining. That is the beginning. Most state governors are complaining. Why did you sign to this? Why did you come up and say, I want to govern? Do your own thing, that is you are good at. But when you come to govern, you must have the expertise. Second, that expertise and the people surrounding you is what is going to enable you to have what we call as a SWOT analysis. The strength of your state. What are you strong in? Agriculture, the labor, quality of human capital, whatever. What is it? Don't lose this. You have to identify it and keep it. Then your weakness, you have to know your weakness. Oh, I'm very far from the market. Right? If you are in agriculture and you are the market is very far, your logistics alone will deal with you, because carrying a big lorry of cotton to the coast in Lagos to export it to Germany is not going to save you, because even the cost of transporting the lorry is more than the value of the lorry. Then you have to look at the opportunity. What opportunities do you have? Is your state having fresh water flowing all over the place? Do you have a lot of people who are in agriculture? Do you have research facilities that can give you the sense? And so on and so forth. Don't lose sight of these opportunities. You must tie it with the strength. And then your threats. Your threats is what is going to kill you, what is going to destroy you. Is your poverty very high? It will destroy you. Do you have insecurity that is everywhere? It will destroy you, and so on and so forth. So if you don't have capacity to iron this out, you cannot know the capacity of your state. So this is not cheap things. This is not easy. So it's not political will. It is competence, or the ability to look for competencies to put together. And I can tell you, every state in Nigeria, if you have this SWOT analysis, you will see wonderful strengths, you will see wonderful opportunities, you will also see weaknesses and threats. The ability to reduce the threats and turn them onto opportunities and deal with the weaknesses, turn them into strength, is governance. And this is not cheap, and most governors, I'm sorry to say, has challenges with these things.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Are you trying to say that we have governors who decided to come up to power and rule, and they had absolutely no idea of what it is they were coming to do?
Well, that is a very rude way to put it. But I can tell you, if you're good, you cannot have poverty rising in your... If you're good and you're doing goodness, you can be able to pay the 70,000 minimum wage. If you're working hard on the basis of competencies to take advantage of your strength and opportunities, you will not be complaining. So the fact that you are complaining, saying that, oh, I cannot pay, you have a problem. No matter what you are doing, your governance has challenges. So you better look inwards and be able to say, hey, I have this strength. I'll give you an example, like my state, for example. He has already started paying,
yes,
but I could give it because I was there. The strength of Adamawa State is that we have one of the strongest civil service in Nigeria. Our civil service is so strong that we are like within the region of 70 to 80% pool of university graduates that are actually in the civil service. Don't lose that. Utilize that capacity. Second, yes, we have weaknesses. Our weaknesses is that we have not been able to deal with entrepreneurship very well. How do we engage the women who are in the informal sector? How do we filter the young people to be entrepreneurial rather than looking for government jobs? And we're resorting to probably having a large pool of political appointees, SA on this. This is wastage. The way to do is to ginger people, take advantage of all the agriculture, the animals, the crops, and so on and so forth, and move on. Threats, we have threats. We have faced Boko Haram. We have a lot of insecurity used to be. So you must be able to solve this to make sure that places are safe so that people can go and farm and so on and so forth. And the opportunities are everywhere. Like the strongest opportunity that Adamawa has is the informal sector. There is no woman in Adamawa State that cannot manufacture something, whether it is groundnut oil or kuli kuli or puff puff or sesame seed and so on. Although they are formal, they are not registered business people. You must dig into that. Empower these people to grow from totally informal to small. Let us see us exporting smoked fish. Let us see that we're exporting sweet potato flour from Shelley. Let us see that the fish from the Boitier area, the Numan, the Lamorde, and so on, we see fresh water everywhere. So it is not really saying, oh, they are bad and so on and so forth. As I said before, that capability to actually look at these 4 sectors and be able to dig into it is the governance. And that is why you voted, you campaigned so heavily. You deceived or convinced people to believe in you. Now you are on the seat. Don't complain. Get on with it and pay that 70,000.
All right, thank you very much. I'm glad you were able to point to Adamawa State. Now we have states like Cross River. Just like Adamawa State, I got to observe that Cross River State is also a civil servant-based state with very little or no businesses thriving. Majority of the people there are civil servants. And there came a time where they took upon tourism. And looks like it's not working. But states like Cross River, Benue, Ekiti, what do you think these governors can capitalize on in order to pay, to be able to meet up rather to something close to the 70,000 naira?
Let me tell you, Cross River, yes, is a civil service state, but the opportunities it has is beyond what you can think of. Number one, Cross River in terms of human capital to provide services. If you're looking for people to look after facilities in terms of facilities management, the competence and the discipline, to talk to people nicely, the cultured way, go to Cross River. The hotels will function if you have Cross Riverians. The secretariats that we have, if the carpets to be clean, the windows to be clean, everything to be set up, if you have Cross Riverians providing that service, that is one opportunity. Second, I'll just deal with one crop. Pineapples in Cross River is beyond what you can think of. And I can tell you what pineapple can do. You can grow the pineapple its own shape and the biology. You can export that pineapple the way it is up to anywhere for at least 3 weeks. It will not even spoil. When you remove the cover, you can juice it and produce primary and secondary products, from jam to juices to composite juices. Mix it with ginger and chili and banana and so on and so on. So only pineapple. With that discipline of service, you can actually create industries in Cross River. So again, it is that know-how to be able to concentrate on what are you good at. And you said it, Tinapa, when they started Tinapa, I remember with the young governor then, Donald Du, I was with him directly and I said, sir, this is a huge complex. It's good because your mind is a mind of private sector. You want to do, but the kind of things that you need to drive there, getting people to come and watch movies there, getting people to come and stay there in wonderful hotels, making sure that food supply, quality food supply of all the seafoods, all the whatever, this is very complex and it's big. I said, sir, why can't we start small? You are very, very experienced in business. And I gave him the example of this pineapple. I said, when you do this pineapple, the culture of production, the culture of timing, the culture of branding, the culture of management will be built into the small scale people, and gradually you now build this big thing and you support it and drag people out because you have an opportunity with the arts and the festival. That festival is what you can have 3 festivals in a year. One festival is just generic. The other festival is agro festival. The other festival is culture, whatever. So you have 3 in a year. So every time people are flowing to your state, but you must make sure that it is very easy to get to Calabar. When you get into Calabar, there shouldn't be any thieves and stealing your phone and so on and so forth. To do that, you have to empower young people to be employed, to have an income. So it's a complex equation. So again, such states with the capacity and capability, you can totally turn it around in 2 years.
So what states do you expect more from that seem to be falling short when it comes to the minimum wage implementation?
Well, I think it's very difficult for me to analyze it from I treat every state equally in the sense that every state has a governor voted in, every state has a deputy governor voted in, every state has 3 senators, every state has number of members of the House of Assembly and the federal representatives, and right down to the ward council. All this pool of people campaign that I will do good, I will do good, I will do good, I'm better than the others. Now, when you have synergy and you start working together as a state. The governor, don't worry about the political affiliations of the senators. Don't worry about, they want your seat. You must work with the senators so that the constituency projects of the senators will be part of what you are producing. Don't argue with the members' House of Reps. You know, you are the leader already. You've won. So don't do primitive things and listening to other people. This one don't like you. This one has spoken to you. Yes, you're a leader. There's a price of leadership. Once you sit on that chair, we will abuse you. You know, now we say bad things about our president. We say bad things about vice president. We say bad things about our governors. If the president was minding his own business in his business, in mobile and whatever, nobody will even know you. You know, so that price of leadership should calm you down that, yeah, people will abuse you. So put your heads together as a state. When I was in Adamawa State, I advised my governor, why can't we have a biannual conference of leaders so that you pull all these leaders, you must come, and the coin of that summit should be, if you care, you will attend and participate. So you sell it to the people that this guy who is from your constituency, he's not coming, he doesn't care about you, and he's not going to participate. Then you sit all the political electeds from ward councils up to governor, but you call the traditional leaders. These are the custodians of the people at the bottom. Let them sit. Then governor, tell these people what you intend to do. The senator will say, I can help because I do this. The House of Reps will say, I can't tell. And everybody will now be renewed, if you don't know what I mean. And before you know, young people will have jobs, the training will become meaningful, your connection and agreements with other states will become meaningful, and so on and so forth. This is how to manage systems in the way we find ourselves, so that you can generate revenue, you can build confidence, young people will be active, and then you'll find that paying the minimum wage is just chicken activity.
I like the fact that you laid emphasis on young people. That's a teeming, I always call it a time bomb waiting to explode. The amount of young people we have who are out of jobs or looking for jobs or considering alternative source of income because they don't have a way to take care of their family, especially with the economic situation we have today in Nigeria. But at this point, how can we create a balance? We see lawmakers requesting for an increase for their salary of 14 million naira is too small. And Nigerians shared different reactions to that in the phone-in segments we had. And we see that 70,000 naira as minimum wage is not even being implemented yet. So how can a balance be created for fair payment to the Nigerian workers?
I think even 70 is very high. Let me tell you, I was one of the senior officials at the Social Investment Program. One of the programs to employ young people was Empower. We do both graduates, non-graduates, and even uneducated. If you concentrate just on Empower graduate, the Empower graduates, the incentive is that each person that you hire on the program will have a 30,000 naira wage or allowance per month. This was because the minimum wage was 30,000. They are graduates, you know. So we had 1 million of these people, and 1 million multiplied by 30,000 is 30 billion naira every month. That is the bill just to pay the salary. Now, 70,000 minimum wage. If you were to implement the Empower graduate, and believe me, you have between 23 to 30 million graduates roaming the streets of Nigeria. If you take just 1 million, it will be 70 billion naira per month bill. You have not trained anybody, you have not monitored, you have not documented anything. 70. That is unsustainable. That is no. So government must come with a very, very strong emphasis on, we build your skills in the things we can do, using the technologies that we have evolved, so that we can be able to produce things for ourselves, and maybe if we raise the standard very high, we can sell to others. And where do you get this sense? The sense is in the technical institutions. I am an engineer, I am an academic, I researched many, and I got promoted to the highest level. This country has nearly 300 universities. It has over 600 institutions accredited by NBTE. We have more than 250 colleges of education. No country in this continent, actually you can even join it with other continents, that has this intellectual power. But because we have not realized that knowledge is what you need to ginger this and to renew the hope of these people, this sector removes on one side, and then we are complaining about problems. Other countries are actually laughing at us. How can Nigeria complain? These researchers have perfected things to do with power supply, how to process agriculture, how to build houses, how to do drones, how to code software, and so on, is everywhere. But to pick this and be able to now drop it onto these young people who are now 20 years or 22 years, they are graduates. They have 40, 45 years to go. And they're running around looking with applications, with CV, talking to their senator, whatever, to get a job in the civil service. No, you have to look at this is the future. Power them with this technology, train them to take advantage of this technology and be able so that we can move our country. There is no way in Nigeria that people are complaining of hunger. How? This country, when Benue State alone said that it can feed Nigeria with yams, you go to the south, they say with cassava and yam, amala and shaki, we can feed all Nigerians if we have. Then you go to the north, all the cereals, rice, sorghum, including wheat. Then what is happening? How can a northerner complain of not eating food? It is a fallacy. So to me, it still comes back to that square. How do you identify your strength and hold it? Holding your strength means is using it so that nobody can abuse you. If we cannot do this, then we can continue to complain. And I can assure you, if we can do this, this country will be respected. And that is why one of the projects we have these days is TED Fund has said that this is enough. You have universities and you have a big valley of death, and then you have large poverty and so on. No. Researchers, bring the researchers that have matured, the okra slicers, the kununzaki makers, the kulikuli fryers, the kilishi makers. Please display it every day and bring all the stakeholders to work on this so that we can empower. Bank of Agriculture, come here. Don't just be giving loan. Come and identify the young people, connect them to technology, power them with finance. Bank of Industry, do the same thing. Commercial banks, the government should take commercial banks. Every commercial bank should fund 1,000 young people to actually actualize small-scale industry every year. I can tell you the CBN can implement that. This kind of revolutionary things is what is going to power the renewed hope policy of Mr. President. And I can tell you, in 2 years, we can start raising our heads as citizens of this great nation.
What is holding them back?
What is holding it back, I think, as far as I am concerned, is that it's realizing that this is possible. You know, when we look, every time you see a road constructed, a nice road constructed, or a train system being launched, it doesn't matter whether by state or federal, when you see big buildings, each time you see our leaders cutting the tape so that we clap for ourselves that we have got this facility, look behind our leaders, you'll see white people. Whether they are Chinese or Lebanese or Indians or whatever, that is the technology. That is the external universities powering us. That is the external polytechnic powering us. That is the external college of education and research institutes powering us. We should say, well, we have realized that we have this system too. So why can't we design it, implement it, our leaders should commission it so that the makers are Nigerians. That's what the job is. That is where the wealth is. The operators are Nigerians. That is where the job is and the wealth. And people will respect us. You will see Cameroonians coming here because they want rail. You will see Egyptians coming here because they want tomato. You will see that Ghanaians will be coming here because they want drones. This is the hope as far as I'm concerned, and it is doable.
Yeah, talking about for a country that is clamoring for made in Nigeria products, it seems like we're not actually using made in Nigeria human resources that we have. Yeah. Now, this is a long-term solution. You know, in conclusion, what are the short-term solutions? Nigerians are looking for something immediate. The economy is biting hard when it comes to the cost of living, cost of petrol, regular trying to afford basic necessities that wasn't a problem before for Nigerians. What short-term solutions do you think governors can put in place to, you know, better the life of Nigerians, ranging from, you know, creating an enabled business environment and wage payments, you know, across board?
I don't think there is any corners that you can cut when it comes to this, whether you call it immediate term or short term in 2 years or medium term in 3-4 years or long term above an election cycle, it is the same thing. You must be organized. You must prioritize. As a leader, you must mentorize, and you must be able to measure, review, and correct. To do this, you have to be friendly with people, including professional people. Instantly, one conference can solve that. In 1 day, you can be able to do this. If today, Nigerians resolve that never again do we go importing sewing machines, importing hair dryers, importing small engines, importing generators to come and do constituency projects. You see thousands of them. I can tell you in 6 months, Nigeria can do all these things. I am aware that one professor, Professor Wajago in Enugu, has totally, with his team in Sedi Enugu, reverse engineered a whole engine. They've manufactured even the tiny little spray, and the engine is working. But that is how it stops there. We have invented telemedicine. Innocent makes the bus, And this space agency you see here on the way to the airport, plus the Nigerian communication satellite providing the internet connectivity, in 2 months, we can flow telemedicine, meaning that the highest level of medical attention can be given to rural areas. It's just a bus moving with the knowledge to the people rather than people moving to come to the hospital. The hospital moves to your own doorstep. Deliver your child and you go in and everything, and they'll be talking on TV based on the internet connectivity to the very best professor, University of Lagos Teaching Hospital, to the very best University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital. This can be done in 3 months. Look, let me tell you, if we want to do it, the short term of using your knowledge, competences and technical capacity, this country has it. We're not talking establishing new universities, they are there. We're not talking establishing new research institutions, they are there. NIBRI, the Building and Road Research Institute, already has technologies to totally transform houses in rural areas, including primary schools, secondary schools, accommodation. They have the technology. You can build a whole complex in 2 days. They have that technology. It can mold the blocks that locks. You don't even need cement. Laterite is everywhere. What is stopping us? If you go to VOM, they have breeding techniques, and the Research Institute in Zaria, you know, on chickens and animals, in the artificial insemination of goats and sheep and so on and so forth, so that your goat is producing 10 kittens in 9 months. We have this technology, but that connectivity is, you must know to utilize. If you don't know, you will just continue running like a headless chicken and complaining.
Okay, we look forward to having less headless chickens as leaders in Nigeria today. It's obvious, you know, Nigerians quickly now before we go, what's your word out there to Nigerians in terms of the kind of leaders? Like you said, you know, this person came out to campaign and Nigerians voted this person in. So what should Nigerians look out for when it comes to quality of leaders come, you know, next election or every election cycle?
I think, like Professor Zulum always says, it's not just the leaders, they follow us too. Yeah. We must demonstrate discipline to love our country, to raise our country's head high. Followers must also be patient. If you continue abusing your leader, praying bad things against your leader, if God answers that prayer, your leader can only be bad. So, and leaders must strive. You have not come in here to enjoy. Don't allow your people to see you as enjoying your leadership and then they are suffering. You must also demonstrate that you are working very hard. You are constantly. Look at the governor of Niger State, for example. He's always in the sun. Look at the governor of Katsina State. He's always in the sun. Look at the governor of Lagos State, running with his face cap and his deputy all over the place, trying to connect with people to demonstrate, I am doing hard, I'm working hard. Follow me well, advise me well, cope with me. Young people, when there is training program for you, go to this training program with the mindset of you want to change your life. Don't always fold your arms like this and say, oh, there's no food, oh, there's no job. Jobs will not rain from the sky. The wind will not bring rice to your table. That is not going to happen. So you must put an effort. So it is both sides. We must lead well, we must follow well. When we move in the middle, I'm sure we can evolve once again a fantastic country, in my opinion.
All right. It's been a very, very insightful and educative segments here with you, engineer. Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak this morning, and I hope every Nigerian has picked up one or two things from this conversation. I hope you have. Well, with us in the studio we had the former Secretary of State Government of Adamawa State, Engineer Umar Buba Bindir. He was here talking to us about the minimum wage implementation, expectation from government, what we should expect from government, and as followers, what followers as Nigerians should do. It was a very great conversation. Thank you once more for joining us.
Thank you so much.